The sun has risen on a world that looks fundamentally different than the one we knew just a few years ago. We stand here, in the heart of 2026, at a crossroads of history and personal destiny. If you are listening to these words, it means you have made it through the storms, the shifts, and the radical transformations of the early 20s. But the question I have for you today isn't about how you survived. It is about whether you are truly awake. For too long, we have lived our lives on a sophisticated form of autopilot. We have moved from screen to screen, from notification to notification, allowing the algorithms of the world to dictate our moods, our desires, and our very sense of purpose. We have been sleepwalking through a digital fog, reacting to the world rather than creating it. But today, that ends. Waking up to a better life in 2026 isn't just about opening your eyes in the morning. It's about opening your soul to the realization that you are the architect of your reality. The year 2026 is not just another digit on the calendar. It is a boundary line. It is the moment where the new normal stops being new and simply becomes the canvas upon which we must paint our greatest masterpieces. Think back to the version of yourself from 3 or 4 years ago. That person was worried about things that don't even exist anymore. That person was waiting for the world to go back to something that is gone forever. If you are still waiting for the past to return, you are sleeping. If you are still letting the echoes of yesterday's failures define your capacity for tomorrow's success, you are dreaming in a nightmare of your own making. To wake up means to look at 2026 with clear, unclouded eyes and see it for what it is, a playground of unprecedented opportunity hidden beneath the surface of rapid change. We live in an era where the tools at our disposal are more powerful than the magic described in ancient myths. We have the ability to learn anything, connect with anyone, and build entire empires from a device that fits in our pocket. Yet, despite this power, so many of us feel more powerless than ever. Why? Because we haven't updated our internal software. We are trying to run a 2026 world on a 2010 mindset. We are still operating out of fear, still seeking permission, and still waiting for someone to hand us a map. But the maps are gone. In 2026, you don't follow a path. You are the pathfinder. The first step in this awakening is the radical reclamation of your attention. Look around you. Everything in this modern world is designed to steal your focus. Every app, every headline, every trending topic is a hook designed to pull you away from the only place where your life actually happens, the present moment. If you want a better life, you must stop being a consumer and start being a producer. You must stop being a spectator of other people's lives and start being the protagonist of your own. Waking up means realizing that your attention is your most valuable currency. Where you spend it, you grow. If you spend it on outrage, you grow bitter. If you spend it on comparison, you grow insecure. But if you spend it on your craft, your health, and your relationships, you grow into a giant. A better life in 2026 is built on the foundation of intentionality. It is the refusal to let the noise of the world drown out the whispers of your own intuition. It is the courage to put down the phone and pick up the pen, the weight, or the hand of a loved one. We often think that change requires a massive, cataclysmic event. We wait for a sign or a big break. But the truth is that the awakening you seek is found in the microscopic details of your daily existence. It is found in the decision to wake up 30 minutes earlier, not because you have to, but because you deserve that time for yourself. It is found in the choice to speak to yourself with the same kindness you would offer a friend. In this year of 2026, resilience has become the new intelligence. The world is fast, yes. It is unpredictable, absolutely. But you are not a leaf in the wind. You are the tree. You have deep roots. You have been through enough to know that you can handle whatever comes next. The better life isn't a life without problems. It is a life where you have the strength and the clarity to see problems as the raw material for your growth. Every setback you faced was actually a setup for this very moment. The scars you carry are not marks of shame. They are your credentials. They prove that you can be broken and still stand. They prove that you are durable. As we navigate the landscape of 2026, we must also confront the myth of perfection. We have been sold a lie that a better life is a curated, filtered, and flawless existence. We see the perfect lives on our feeds, and we feel like we are falling behind. But let me tell you the truth. Perfection is the enemy of progress. Perfection is just a fancy word for fear. It is a way of hiding. Waking up means embracing the beautiful mess of being human. It means starting that project before you're ready. It means launching that business while you're still learning the ropes. It means saying, "I love you" first. In 2026, the winners are not the ones who never fail. They are the ones who fail the fastest and learn the most. They are the ones who have traded the heavy armor of having it all together for the light, flexible clothing of authenticity. When you are authentic, you are invincible because you have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. You just are. You just are. And that being is where your power resides. The energy of 2026 is a high-frequency energy. It demands that we move with more purpose and less hesitation. We no longer have the luxury of procrastination. The world is moving too fast for us to sit on the sidelines and think about it. To wake up is to move into action. It is to understand that inspiration is a guest that only visits those who are already working. If you want to feel motivated, start moving. If you want to feel confident, start doing. Confidence is not a prerequisite for action. It is a result of it. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you push through a moment of discomfort, your world expands. A better life is not something you find. It is something you build, brick by brick, habit by habit, second by second. And there is no better time to lay the first brick than right now. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when the economy shifts or the weather improves. Now, look into the mirror of your future. Who is that person? In 2026, that person is someone who has stopped making excuses. They are someone who has realized that their past does not equal their future unless they choose to live there. They are someone who sees the technological wonders of this age as tools to amplify their humanity, not replace it. They are someone who prioritizes their mental health as much as their physical strength. They are someone who knows that to lead others, they must first lead themselves. This is the awakening. This is the wake-up call to a better life. It is the realization that you have been given the gift of another day in one of the most exciting times in human history. Don't waste it being a shadow of who you could be. Step into the light. Own your space. Claim your voice. The world in 2026 isn't waiting for you to fit in. It's waiting for you to stand out. It's waiting for you to finally, truly, and completely wake up. Now that the eyes are open, we must address the engine room. To wake up is one thing, but to stay awake in a world designed to lull you back into a comfortable numbness is another task entirely. As we move deeper into 2026, we have to acknowledge that the better life we are seeking isn't waiting for us in some distant geography or a higher bank balance. It is being constructed right now within the internal architecture of your mind. You see, the world has become incredibly efficient at providing us with what we want, but it has become dangerously silent about what we actually need. We are surrounded by smart cities, smart homes, and smart devices, but none of those things can create a smart soul. That is your job. That is the work of this year. We have to move from a state of being users of our lives to being owners. An owner doesn't just show up and hope things go well. An owner understands the mechanics, maintains the systems, and takes full responsibility for the output. In 2026, ownership is the only path to freedom. The greatest challenge you face today is not the complexity of the technology around you, but the complexity of the stories you tell yourself about who you are. Most of us are walking around with a self-image that is hopelessly outdated. We are still reacting to the criticisms of a middle school teacher, the rejection of a first love, or the failure of a business venture from 5 years ago. Waking up to a better life requires a radical software update of your identity. You have to stop identifying with your history and start identifying with your potential. In this fast-paced 2026 landscape, your ability to unlearn is just as important as your ability to learn. You must be willing to let go of the you that was comfortable in the shadows so that the you that can thrive in the light can finally take over. This means auditing your thoughts with the same scrutiny you would use to audit a financial statement. If a thought doesn't serve your growth, if it doesn't expand your capacity for joy, if it doesn't sharpen your focus, then it is a bad investment. Sell it off. Let it go. We live in the age of the human edge. As artificial intelligence and automation handle the mundane and the analytical, the value of what makes us uniquely human has skyrocketed. In 2026, your empathy is your competitive advantage. Your creativity is your currency. Your ability to look another human being in the eye and truly see them is a rare and precious skill. To live a better life, you must lean into these human traits. You must cultivate your intuition as if it were a high-performance engine. While the rest of the world is busy trying to compete with the machines, I want you to focus on the things a machine can never do: the ability to feel, to dream, to sacrifice for a cause, and to love without a logical reason. Waking up means realizing that your soft skills are actually your hardest and most durable assets. A better life is one where you are not just a cog in a digital machine, but a heartbeat in a living community. Let's talk about the discipline of silence. In 2026, silence is a luxury, but for you, it must become a necessity. We are constantly bombarded by a stream of data, opinions, and essential updates. If you do not create a sanctuary of silence within yourself, you will eventually become an echo of everyone else's noise. Waking up to a better life means reclaiming the first hour of your day and the last hour of your night. It means creating digital-free zones where your mind can breathe and your thoughts can settle. It is in the silence that the best ideas are born. It is in the silence that you hear the voice of your own purpose. You cannot build a better life if you are constantly reacting to the ping of a notification. You have to be the one who sets the pace. You have to be the one who decides what enters your mental space. In 2026, the most powerful person in the room is often the one who is the most still. This better life also requires a new relationship with discomfort. We have been conditioned to believe that a good life is a life of ease. But ease is a trap. Ease is where dreams go to die. The better life you are dreaming of in 2026 is on the other side of the things you don't want to do. It's on the other side of that difficult conversation you've been avoiding. It's on the other side of that grueling workout. It's on the other side of the vulnerability it takes to admit you were wrong. Waking up means realizing that discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are expanding. It is the feeling of your old skin stretching before it sheds. If you want to master this environment, you must become a connoisseur of challenges. You must learn to eat stress for breakfast and turn pressure into diamonds. The world doesn't give you what you want. It gives you what you are a match for. If you want a better life, you have to become a better version of yourself. As we navigate this middle ground of the year, look at your circles. The people around you are either the wind in your sails or the anchors on your soul. In 2026, connection is easier than ever, but intimacy is harder. We have thousands of friends, but fewer confidants than ever. Waking up means being ruthless about who you allow into your inner sanctum. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But in 2026, you are also the average of the 5 accounts you follow most closely. If your environment is filled with people who complain, who settle for mediocrity, and who live in the past, you will eventually do the same. A better life requires a tribe of builders, dreamers, and doers. It requires people who will hold you to a higher standard than you hold yourself. Do not be afraid to walk alone for a while if it means avoiding the wrong company. The right people will find you when you are moving at the right frequency. Finally, understand that the better life is a practice, not a destination. You don't arrive at a better life in 2026 and then stop. You live it every day through the choices you make. It is the choice to choose growth over security. It is the choice to choose truth over convenience. It is the choice to be grateful for what you have while being hungry for what you can become. Waking up is not a one-time event. It is a daily commitment. Every morning when you open your eyes, you have to decide all over again that you are not going back to sleep. You have to decide that this version of you, the awake, aware, and empowered version, is the one who is going to lead the way. The year 2026 is half over or just beginning, depending on how you look at it. From where I stand, the horizon looks limitless, but you have to be willing to keep walking. Bye! You have to be willing to trust the process, even when you can't see the full map, because in 2026, the map is something you create as you go. We have arrived at the most critical realization of this journey. Waking up to a better life in 2026 is not an act of self-interest. It is an act of service. For the first 2 parts of this awakening, we focused on your internal world, your habits, and your mindset. But a fire that only warms itself eventually goes out. To truly cement this better life, you must understand that your growth is the fuel for a much larger flame. We are living in a time where the world is starving for leaders who lead by example. People are tired of empty rhetoric and digital facades. They are looking for someone who is actually awake, someone who is actually alive, and someone who is actually making a difference. As you step into the second half of this decade, your mission must shift from, "How do I succeed?" to "How do I contribute?" In 2026, the highest level of success is measured by the depth of your impact and the weight of your legacy. You didn't survive the challenges of the last few years just to sit on a mountain of personal achievement. You were forged in those fires so you could become a beacon for those still wandering in the dark. Legacy is often spoken of as something we leave behind when we are gone, but in 2026, legacy is something you live every single day. It is the way you treat the person serving you coffee. It is the integrity you show when no one is watching the screen. It is the decision to mentor someone else who is just starting their journey. To live a better life, you must become a person of value. If you look at the greatest icons of high performance, those who have moved the needle of human history, they all reached a point where their why became bigger than their I. They stopped working for their own bank accounts and started working for their communities, their families, and the future of the human spirit. When your mission is bigger than your ego, you tap into a source of energy that is inexhaustible. You no longer need to get motivated because you are pulled by your purpose. In 2026, purpose is the only antidote to the burnout that is sweeping through our society. If you feel tired, it's likely not because you're doing too much, but because you're doing too little of what matters. Think about the rest of this decade. We are halfway through the 2020s, a 10-year span that will be remembered as the era of the Great Reset. By the time we reach 2030, the world will have shifted again. The question is, who will you be when that milestone arrives? A better life in 2026 is the prerequisite for a dominant life in 2030. You are currently laying the foundation for the person you will become in 4 years. If you stay awake, if you stay disciplined, and if you stay focused on contribution, you will find yourself in a position of influence that you can't even imagine right now. But this requires you to stop playing small. It requires you to stop apologizing for your ambition. The world doesn't need you to shrink so that others feel comfortable. It needs you to expand so that others feel inspired to do the same. This is the tough love truth of 2026. Your mediocrity is a disservice to the world. You have gifts that are unique to you, perspectives, talents, and a voice that no one else possesses. To keep those gifts hidden out of fear or laziness is a form of theft. We must also talk about the power of the unplugged soul. In a world where every movement is tracked and every thought is shared, the most radical thing you can do is to be deeply, authentically yourself. Waking up means stripping away the layers of who you think you should be to reveal who you actually are. This is where your true power lies. When you are authentic, you don't have to compete, you just have to create. In 2026, competition is for those who are doing the same thing as everyone else. But when you are operating from your unique human edge, you move into a category of one. This better life is one of total freedom. The freedom from the need for external validation. You no longer need the world to tell you that you are doing a good job because your internal compass is calibrated to the truth. You are no longer chasing a finish line because you have realized that the journey itself is the prize. The time for hesitation is over. The time for someday is dead. The better life you want is not a future event. It is a present tense decision. Every breath you take is a chance to start over. Every hour is a chance to move the needle. Take the lessons of the past, the tools of the present, and the vision of the future, and fuse them into a life that is so vibrant, so purposeful, and so impactful that it leaves an indelible mark on the fabric of time. Wake up to your power. Wake up to your potential. Wake up to the incredible, breathtaking reality of being alive in 2026. This is your time. This is your year. This is your life. Now go out there and live it as if everything depends on it. Because it does. Your legacy is waiting. Your better life is here. Open your eyes, stay awake, and never, ever look back.